All right, you're looking to get into the buy and hold world. You're looking at how to get into my first rental. This is not going to be an in-depth dive. This is just going to give you a couple little nuggets or clues that maybe you have or haven't thought of. And if you've thought of some of these and you're like, yeah, of course, this is simple, I know this, but you still haven't done it, then this video is a reminder for you of how to get into your first rental. The teaser intro of this was maybe you're already sitting on it, and so if you don't own a home, you're probably throwing things at me saying, well, duh, that'd be easy if I already had a house. But if you own a home now and you're wanting to get into your next rental, what if you just don't sell your house, keep that as a rental, and then go buy another house that you're going to live in? You're kind of reversing spots on like how to get in your first rental. I know when I had my first home, I did actually end up selling it, but I regret it because that would have been such a good rental. Now you got to take into account, like, you might need the equity from it. There's some other considerations that may or may not make it harder. But if you're one of these people that have been sitting on a really low interest rate from 2000 or 2001, you're frustrated that you can't get into your next, find another rental. Maybe you're already sitting on a rental that you could convert your current home and then, buy another primary residence that would be your next home, and you'd keep your existing house as your rental. The second hack is an obvious one that people talk about a lot, is maybe you don't even move, but you turn, say, your basement into a rental. And then you've created like a mother-in-law. And so house hacking is what you call that. There's so many different ways to house hack. Convert your basement into a rental, or maybe you buy a duplex, live on one side, rent out the other side. Maybe you buy a fourplex, live in one of the units, rent out the other three. Right now, as affordability is a problem, if you're trying to get into your first rental and you're a little bit flexible, that is a great way to go house hacking, whether it's from a single family or a duplex or a fourplex. Now, you're going to give up something. If, let's say, you jump into a fourplex, you're going to give up a little bit of quality of life and privacy because you're going to have other people living around you. But those other three people are going to be paying the bulk of, if not all of, your mortgage obligation, and you could essentially live for free. Then what do? You've heard this story over and over where, somebody lives in their house for 2 years, they maybe sell it or they don't, and if they decide to sell it, then they don't have to pay capital gains because it was their primary residence. I mean, there's so many awesome. This video is more to just give you a nugget or a reminder if you've already thought of it already. The other strategy, and this is a little harder one to do, especially now, but if you haven't learned about the BRRRR strategy, to buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and then repeat, you need to dive into videos I've done on that, or go down YouTube University rabbit hole and find some other videos that people have done on the BRRRR strategy. The BRRRR strategy is an awesome strategy to get into a rental. And if you do it right, from start to finish, you're no money out of pocket. You've got to leverage a temporary bridge loan while you create that value, refinance it, cash flow it. It's a beautiful thing. It's not going to work for every deal, but remember the BRRRR strategy. One of the final strategies would be, well, I can't get a bank loan. I can't qualify. You know what? People are doing seller financing right now more than ever. Why? Because long-term interest rates are high. Most people that own a home have a lower interest rate, so they're willing to seller finance or do an all-inclusive deed of trust, wrap their underlying loan, sell some of their equity off to somebody coming to buy it. It's happening all the time now, and it didn't happen so much during COVID, when rates were lower and it was so much easier to get a loan. So if you're stuck, even if you know this strategy, relook at seller financing options, because it is viable. I've sold 2 properties myself this year to other people. Actually, I've sold 3 to other people on seller financing where I acted as the bank. A couple of times I wrapped my underlying mortgage. One of the properties was true equity, where I was just truly being the bank. And so it can be a great strategy for a seller, and it can be a great strategy for a buyer. It can be a really, really a win-win. So some of these, you could probably say, and this is so obvious, your existing home could be your first rental. Your existing home could be a hybrid of a house hack, or you could finish your basement, rent out the basement, buy a duplex, buy a fourplex, just live in one of the units, rent out the other side. BRRRR strategy is going to work great. Dive into the knowledge on that. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, and look at seller financing options. All of these at some point may or may not require a certain amount of equity. If you do the BRRRR right, you might be able to do it for no money out of pocket. If you negotiate a seller finance deal, you might be able to do it for little to no money out of pocket. If you already own your home and just convert a basement to a rental, you might not need too much extra capital for that. Where it's going to be very capital intensive is if you're buying your first just with a straight up regular loan, putting 20 to 25% down. That's easy. Where you got to get a little bit more creative on these is to kind of think outside the box a little bit. So those are 4 avenues. If you're stuck or wanted to be reminded about how to get your first rental, do some more research and learn more about those 4 strategies, and good luck. So of those 4 strategies, which one do you think might be the easiest one for you to get into first? Let me know. I want to hear it, and do it.